Hello, friends, and welcome to Sustainable Prepping, your home for fear-free emergency preparedness and a sustainable life. My name is Brecky. Today, we're going to be talking about my 2023 emergency preparedness goals. If you're new here, I want to say a great big welcome. I'm glad you found my slice of the internet. This is your home for progressive emergency preparedness, where you're going to be talking about homesteading and homemaking, all from a progressive and feminist standpoint. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, welcome aboard. I'm glad you found the channel. If you're not new, I want to say a truly heartfelt and grateful welcome back. You are why I'm here, and you're the reason I'm growing, and I am so very thankful for you showing up today. We're going to jump right into my 2023 emergency preparedness goals. If you have not already watched it, I already did a review of my 2022 goals. I will link it up above. And y'all, I failed miserably at my 2022 goals. It was because we moved at a big life change. But my 2023 goals are going to accommodate, I hope, any future life changes like moving to a new house that we hope to buy, and recognizing that, emergency preparedness is always going to ask us to show up in new and various ways. And since I don't know if we're going to be renters again next year, where we're going to be living exactly, I'm tailoring my goals to accommodate even if we're renters for a whole nother year. So let's jump right in. So my first goal is a goal I think I've had for the last 2 years, but the pandemic and having babies and such has thrown a wrench in this. But this is a major goal for me this year, and that is to get CPR and first aid certified. 100% major goal. And my sort of secondary, if I can get that done, then I want to get the secondary goal done, which is I want to do CERT, or Community Emergency Response Team training done. I want to be able to do that training. That is important to me. I want to have all the skills, the general skill base, to refresh it, because I was certified in CPR and several first aid certifications, but it's been 15 plus years. So I want to refresh those certifications. I want to feel good and confident about that skill. I want to be able to do it without feeling anxious or having to look at my notes, and feel really confident about that. And I would like to take my older sons, if we can accommodate their schedules, to do at least the CPR and first aid training. I think it's a great life skill for everyone, so that's important to me. So CPR and first aid is my sort of first goal, and if I achieve that and I can make it work with my schedule, CERT training is my second kind of part B to my first goal. My second goal is to expand my water storage. Now, that had been a 2020 goal that I achieved in 2021, and I felt very good about it, but I had to leave about 50% of my water storage back in West Virginia because we couldn't take the big drums on the moving truck. There was a lot of reasons for that. So I want to at least double my water storage, but to really focus on accommodating where we live and what we can reasonably store where we live, recognizing that as soon as we can get into a more permanent location, we're going to be investing in some larger water storage. So if we move into a new house, I want to definitely invest in a 55-gallon drum, at least one. If we do not move into a new house, I want to double the 5-gallon storage that we have. Unlike West Virginia, where I'm worried about the water being contaminated, I'm more worried about eventual problems with water getting into our townhouse. Should there be a grid down situation, you do have to have electricity to pump the water into your home. So having that water as a safe fail is important to me and my family. We're working at having at least 7 days with a goal of eventually having 2 full weeks. I don't think necessarily having more than 2 weeks is necessary unless you have the space and you feel very invested in that. But for me, once I get to 2 weeks, I will feel very calm and confident. Right now, I'm working on 7 days and then 10 days of storage, and doing it in a way that works in our townhouse. And then hopefully when we move to a new house, God willing, investing in expanding and having more space for that water storage. My third goal is one of 2 sets of skill-based goals, and that is to can something every month. So I want to do canning every month, at least 12 canning sessions this year. Now, of course, in the summertime, I could easily do 12 canning sessions in the course of like 1 week, because we're going to hopefully have a lot of produce coming in. Even if we don't have a garden, we're going to hope to be a part of a CSA and maybe buy in bulk from some local farms. However, I want to take the off season to practice with my new canner, to practice canning regularly, to get very comfortable canning regularly, and to not think of canning as something where I have to do 12, 15 jars at a time, but I can do 4 jars. I can do 6 jars at a time, and that's an okay thing. I also want to allow these smaller batch canning sessions to be opportunities to try some new recipes and things that I've never used before. So, for example, I know people really love cowboy candy. I've never made it because I've never had it. I've never eaten it before. And it's intimidating to want to can something you've never actually eaten. And I don't want to make 12 jars of it if I hate it. You know what I mean? So, allowing myself, giving myself permission to make 4 jars of something in a much smaller batch so I can test a bunch of recipes, figure out what I like, figure out what my family likes and will actually eat, and then expand that. So, canning something every month, trying new recipes as a part of that monthly canning is skills. It's both the skill of really feeling super confident with my pressure canning, which I do feel confident in, but I want to feel really confident with both my stovetop and my electric canner. To do more water bath canning, which I just don't really do a lot of because I don't do a lot of jams and jellies, and I really want to practice more of that. And then to just try new recipes, but make small batches, test what I like, and then expand from there. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to give me a big like and to subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you as part of this community, not just now, but every time a video comes out. So my fourth goal is all about expanding skills. And they're going to be really dependent upon whether or not we move. If we move and we can start an in-ground garden, I really want to focus on expanding my gardening skills. That's something that I still consider myself a fair novice at because I haven't had a lot of space. So I only had about 4 years of a garden when I lived in West Virginia. And so I am excited to hopefully be able to really invest in more big scale gardening once we move into our house. This, of course, assumes we can find a house and afford a house in the crazy market that is there. So if we buy a new house that has space for gardening, focusing on the skills of gardening in any capacity and kind of growing those skills. If we don't, then I want to focus on apartment skills like sprouting, windowsill and container gardening, which I'm going to start doing as soon as we get through the next couple of cold months here. Because I'm in zone 7B, we have very mild winters usually, and then spring will come early. So I only have a few months before I have to worry about that. So sprouting, some container gardening, and then really focusing on preservation methods of all sorts of types beyond canning. So really working my dehydrator, really working things like preserving herbs and oil, really working on figuring out some ways to salt cure or sugar cure different items. So wanting to expand preservation, wanting to expand container gardening, and wanting to expand sprouting with then if we have a big garden, shifting that gear towards focusing on the actual act of gardening. Of course, adding the preservation, but that would be a little bit secondary to really doing the gardening itself. So allowing myself a little flexibility based on if we buy a house and based on if the house that we buy has space where I can really jump into gardening or not, knowing that it's going to kind of roll with those tides, that is going to be key. So that is sort of a matrix of skills. So what are your goals for 2023? One of the things I've noticed for myself is that I've moved away from focusing on stuff-based goals, although the water storage is certainly a stuff-based goal, toward a more skills-based approach, which I think is so important. Yes, you do need to have goals for your food storage. You need to have goals for your water storage, your medicine storage. All of those things are things, right, that you need to acquire, and making them goals and doing them a little bit over time is the best way to achieve them without being overwhelmed. But now that I've reached a lot of those foundational pieces and I've had them for several years, I really want to sharpen my focus on having skills where I can do things like without having to constantly feel like I'm referring to my notes. Not that you shouldn't use your notes, particularly with things like pressure canning, but that I feel super confident that I can just get up and do it. It's not a production. And then shifting from skills I'm practicing to habits I do. And that mindset shift is going to be subtle and it's really going to come from repetition. I'm really curious if you have found that you're doing more skills based goals or if you are still really working on your gathering stuff goals, or do you have a balance of both? Last year for me was much more of a balance of both. This year is really focused on the skills approach. I'm really curious and I'd love for you to tell me down in the comments. As I practice these skills and as I hone them and continue turning them into everyday parts of my life in my preparedness, my homesteading, and my homemaking, I will take you along. A kind of a bonus skill for this channel really is that I want to do more videos. I don't want to commit to a certain amount every week, though I have some ideas for ways I can be producing more content without overwhelming myself. I would also love to engage with each of you more. If that's live streams or more Facebook group interactions, more chats over on the Instagram, whatever, I'd love to find ways that I am building community and not just creating videos at you, but more with you, alongside you, and that we're sharing our experiences together. I have gotten so many encouraging messages over the last year about how relieved people have been to find a progressive prepper, someone who shares their values, someone who's not talking about conspiracy theories all the time, and how that has encouraged you to continue your preparedness, your homesteading, your feminist homemaking journeys. And I want to say first, thank you for sending me those messages. They really inspire me when I'm feeling down and tired. They are so helpful. And also, I want to be a part of your journey and supporting your journey and using this channel as a tool that encourages you and, by extension, all kinds of people who haven't seen themselves in these spaces yet. There is a place for you. There's a place for us. We are going to be prepared. We're going to be reliant. We're going to have skills. We are going to be able to look at the changing world, the climate change, the shifting geopolitics, and we don't have to feel overwhelming anxiety. We can feel some fear with things shifting, but it doesn't have to be because we don't feel unsafe. It can be because we maybe are like, dang, that's going to be some new work, or dang, that's going to change power dynamics. But you know what? Our family's going to be fine. We are going to be fine. And when you can feel that deep in your soul, that is a gift. And I'm hoping that we can share that together. I know that might be a little lofty. Maybe that's my optimism shining through, but I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so excited that we're going to be doing this together. Comment down below and let me know what your goals are. Let me know how I can be doing videos that support your goals and your interests. We are doing this as a team, my friends. I might be a one-woman show on this side, but we are a community on this other side. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can find me over on Instagram at sustainable_prepping or down in the Facebook group. As always, my dear, dear, dear friends, I hope you are well. Take care of yourselves as we enter into 2023. Maybe you enter this new year with creativity, with calm, and with confidence. And until the next video, happy prepping.